This is bags and bags of food being thrown away because the migrants don't want to eat them, and they just go to waste. This is all food that is going to waste. This is insane. This is fresh. This is good food, but they don't want to eat it. They said they don't like it.
Now, what you just saw is this huge amount of food that's been thrown away daily at this big New York City hotel that's being used to house illegal immigrants. Now, according to this whistleblower, more than 36,400 have come to New York City in the last few months, and city officials have put them up in at least 14 hotels, one of them being The Row in Times Square. Now, that's where the pictures that you're seeing right now were taken. My next guest, Felipe Rodriguez, says that he's worked there since 2017, but now that illegals have taken it over.
Okay, two thoughts, or maybe more. There's the highest price of food and groceries that I can remember, and families are really struggling to be able to cover their grocery bills to feed their kids. You know, when I'm at the store, I can't imagine what it's like for a young family who are struggling to pay all of their expenses and feed their families decent meals. And then you see this complete waste of our taxpayer dollars throwing away food and feeding people that shouldn't even be here in the first place. We're rewarding people for breaking the law and treating them better than our own children. It's criminal what's going on. And it's interesting, too, that the man in this video is a migrant who came here to live the American dream, to work, to put food on the family, or to put food on the table for his family, and he's watching what the Biden administration is doing to all of us. It's awful, horrific.
And Felipe joins me now. Felipe, good to see you tonight. Now, when you say chaos, tell us what you mean. Fights, drugs, altercations, other violations?
Good evening. Nice for you to have me. Thank you. The chaos that we see at the Row today is compiled by migrants being drunk, drinking all day, smoking marijuana.
So we're fed this line that they just want to come here and live a better life. It sounds like they're living a better life. They're living high on the hog on our tax dollars, throwing away food they don't need, drinking, smoking weed, destroying hotels. It looks like the projects, what they're doing to these hotels. Disgusting.
Consuming drugs and domestic violence, people having sex in the stairs, young people, teenagers. They use the fire exit stairs to go in there and do what teenagers do. We have people, actually trying to act like the hotel is theirs and we have no rights.
That's exactly what they're doing in the whole country. They're coming here and acting like it's theirs and like we have no rights. And it's fascinating that you never see this happen in other countries. Can you imagine if we did this in other countries, if other people did this in other countries? I'm trying to think. I have a friend who was recently, it's a military wife who was stationed in Okinawa, and she was in a public venue and she had an interpreter with her, and a local woman came over to her and was yelling and screaming in her face. And the interpreter refused to tell her what this woman was screaming and saying because it was so awful. Now, any American who would even question why we are spending our resources to let these people act like criminals and animals and to let these people bring all this fentanyl over the border. I mean, it would be really interesting to do a comparison side by side, how many deaths we've had from fentanyl and how many deaths we've had from COVID. And let's see, I mean, maybe what we need is a Biden watch instead of a COVID watch, an emergency because of Biden, not because of COVID, because of all these fentanyl deaths that literally he is responsible for. And I'm just so glad that someone said it at the State of the Union. It's his fault. Straight up.
the form in which they keep their rooms is horrendous. They don't clean it. They don't fold their clothes. They don't. I mean, it's in piles and piles. They're hoarding clothes. They're hoarding whatever they can hoard, and there's no accountability. And when you go into a rooms and you,
I think my teenage son does a better job of keeping his room clean than these filthy animals, and that's saying something.
and when you go into a rooms and you say something, the hotel management, especially the GM, has directed us that we're not allowed to tell them nothing. And
The people running the hotels are not allowed to tell them how to treat the hotels. That's what this administration wants to do to our entire country. They want to let people who don't love this country, have no value for freedom, come and run roughshod over all of us. It's what they're doing. I hope we can make it another 2 years.
practically, they have carte blanche at the route.
So Felipe, so what you would say is that you don't see this sort of expected gratitude for free housing, free food, obviously shelter in a city where rent is very expensive. You're not seeing a lot of that.
When there was a time in 2017 where I paid a lot of money to house my wife and my kids, and I paid cable, I paid gas, I paid light, I paid my car payments. There was a lot of stuff that I had to be responsible for. Fortunately for the migrants, they got the government of the United States to hand them carte blanche to pretty much do as they wish. They go in and out of the hotel at will.
He makes an interesting point that the federal government is giving these illegal immigrants carte blanche to do whatever they want to do. Have you ever asked why? What does that do for the federal government? Does it matter to anybody what that does to other Americans? It's like allowing one of your kids to break every single rule in your house and not hold them to any sort of accountability while completely supervising everything that every other child in your home does and holding them to a standard that's 10 times higher. It's going to breed resentment. How can it not?
You got people sick in there. They're spreading all type of illnesses, chicken pox, COVID, what you may have. And nobody is telling them they can't do that. So
we kept
right
our
now,
kids out of school. They had to wear masks. They had everything done to them that injured their development, their social skills, set them back. But these people can run around freely with COVID, with chicken pox, very communicable diseases. It's infuriating that this is the way our government treats us and treats people who hate us.
the guy have all the power, the migrants, the hotel workers lost their power at the hotel. The GM doesn't have our back. I guess all he cares about is making the money that he's making. But
I don't want to turn this into a personal grievance about the GM or how the hotel is run. What we're interested in, Felipe, is what's happening with the use of taxpayer dollars. New York, it's estimated, has spent about $1 billion. That's the estimate on the illegal immigrants in New York City, including the housing that you're seeing.
So $1 billion in New York City alone for these migrants. I'm not going to call them migrants. They're not migrants. They're illegal immigrants. They're illegal aliens. That's what they are. So $1 billion spent on illegal aliens to come and invade New York City. That's just one city. What I understand is that every month, the number of illegals crossing our southern border is the same as the population of Nashville, Tennessee. So you're putting that kind of financial strain on each city and on the entire country. Now just imagine with all of the money that we are using to care for these completely ungrateful, awful people, and not all of them are awful before anybody goes apoplectic on me. Of course, there are some good people, But what we're seeing is a preponderance of people that take and give nothing. So imagine what we are spending in each major metropolitan city could have likely funded the wall. But the people running our show right now, but the people running our country right now don't want a secure border. They don't want a secure country. They want nothing but chaos in our country. They want to turn us into a third world nation. And they're doing it in the cities where these migrants are housed.
Now, we're showing pictures of weed, marijuana that you said was found at the hotel. So how did you find it? Or you didn't find it? Do you know who this belonged to?
I collected it. The marijuana there was a fight in the lobby. I was there that night, and one of the migrants was drunk, and he took a swung on a security officer, hit him in the head. The security for the hotel took him down. The NYPD responded, and when the NYPD entered the hotel, there was a couple of teenagers by the stairs of the lobby to go into the top lobby, and when they seen the cops, they just dropped the weed on the stairs, and I seen it, so I took pictures of it and I collected it and gave it to security.
Well, Felipe, if all Americans could see what you've witnessed just in the last few months at this hotel, in one sentence, what do you think they'd say?
It's a disgrace.
Well, that sums it up. Yeah, Felipe, you've done more to illuminate this situation than, frankly, a lot of folks in the media, because you had inside access, and we really appreciate your speaking out.
The people who are oftentimes the most angry about the lawlessness of Biden's lack of a southern border or any immigration policy are the migrants who have come here the legal way. And how can you blame them?